Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you about how to build a portfolio for an investor in the 20s. So you could be in your 20s or you could be an advisor looking at clients who are in their 20s. So if you do not understand that the specific needs of a particular age and their financial goals and risk tolerance, then building a portfolio becomes very difficult. There are some attributes of a 20-year-old which will be applicable to almost all 20-year-olds. Some 20-year-olds will be different, but largely this is assuming the majority. I mean, this is not for the kid who is 20 years, whose parents have a net worth of 50 crores which he is the only son, and so then his life is going to be very different. But this, I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about the guy who's just got a 5 lakh rupee, 6 lakh rupee kind of a job. He's 23, 24, he's an engineer, or maybe he's an MBA. He's come from a small town to a big city, or he's part of a big city, but he's not the very rich. His father was also employed in an ordinary company. Maybe he retired on a salary of about 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs. So it's not that he's very poor. So this is the average middle class or upper middle class kind of a kid, right? The advantage that you have while starting to invest in your 20s is you have got at least 30-35 years to invest. That is the best time to get the power of compounding. Unfortunately, we learn about power of compounding in class 7 and forget it in class 8. So here it is again a basics that since you have the power of compounding, please realize that a rupee saved today or a rupee invested today is going to be worth at least 20 rupees by the time you retire, right? Even at some low rate of interest, low growth rate, it will be worth at least 20 rupees. So every rupee that you invest now is going to be very useful. But if I ask you to invest 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or even 1 lakh, then it's a joke, because you don't have that kind of money anyway. You're also not paying too much of tax, so maybe you're getting that 1.5 lakhs of ATC benefit, which I think everybody gets today. And that's the only investment which you're forced to make. Anything other than that is voluntary. Some people in the 20s save 70-80% of what they earn, and some people are able to save only 20-30%. That is because the kid who has come from a smaller town to Mumbai is paying rent, paying for food, is perhaps sending money back home to his parents, assuming they need it, or all his expenses are so high that he is unable to invest more than that, compared to a kid whose parents live in Mumbai. He or she has got a job in Mumbai, so he's not paying for any rent, he's not paying for food, he's not paying for maybe some of the luxuries. So he is able to invest. Theoretically, he can invest more than his counterpart who has come from somewhere and is paying rent and paying for food, etc. Time is an amazing tool on your side. Like even a 7% return will mean your money will double every 10 years. So you're in your 20s, so it will double in your 30s, 40s and 50s. So you got 3-4 times money to double even at 7%, which is, I'm not getting into whether it is high or low, but I'm assuming it is 7%. It's not too bad, because you will still make over a 40-year period, you will still make 15 times. So your 500 rupees saved today will be 7,500 after 40 years. That's not bad. I mean, it could be better, but I mean, if the rate of interest was 12% instead of 7, obviously it would be better, but assuming even 7%. But you are at an age when you don't have that extra money sitting in the bank wondering what to do. Of course, you don't pay too much taxes, but in your 20s, you really do not have too much money. After meeting all your needs, there's very little left. So the request is to start a small SIP, maybe 1,500 a month, maybe 2,000 a month, maybe 3,000 a month. Start your SIP and harness the power of compounding. For the power of compounding to work, two things are necessary. One is an amount of money to be invested. It doesn't work only for big amounts. It works for 1 rupee as much as it works for 1 crore, right? So at least start small, but start get the power of n on your side. That is the number of years. So if you start at 22, you got 40 years till 62. If you start at 30, you got only 30 years till 32 years till 62, right? So obviously you have to harness the power of n. And also one more advantage is at this age, mostly you don't have to worry too much about liquidity needs. Now a guy in his 40s or 50s will have to be worried about kids coming and saying, oh, I need to buy this course, I need to do this, I need this extra money to pay this fees, I never anticipated this would happen, I joined a gym, I need tennis class. So right, these kind of pulls on your money will be needed when you are in your 30s and 40s. In your 20s, very unlikely, unless your parents are dependent on you. That's a different case. But other than that, very unlikely that there will be too many pulls for your money, and you have to have the nice art of saying no to loans which are perhaps not going to come back, right? So start your retirement planning now. Start doing maybe 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees a month, whatever you can afford. Don't choose a smaller figure just because I told you. If you can afford 10,000 a month, that's great. Obviously, then your retirement can be earlier than what you thought financially you will be able to retire, but too early. We'll talk about retirement later. So when you make money, then start putting in PPF, start putting in an ELSS. I would say predominantly ELSS, PPF, and your own PF will also be there too. Remember, your own PF and PPF are debt instruments. At this age, you need more of equity. So if you can afford, start at 12,500 rupees per month SIP in an ELSS. So your 1.5 lakhs is taken care of. Anyway, you will have your PF. You will anyway put some money in PPF. Minimum you should be putting is 1,000 or 2,000. I think the statutory minimum is 500. But at least put 1,000 or 2,000 rupees into your PPF account every year, if not more. Remember some more things. For many people in your age category, you may not have the time to spend on your portfolio. Now that's bad, because taking out half an hour every week is a must at this age because of two things. You can watch your portfolio, that doesn't help, but you can read about your portfolio. If you have Biocon in your portfolio, pick up the balance sheet of Biocon and see what it says. Of course you will not understand, but make a beginning. Make a beginning for simple companies like Colgate, right? It's easy to understand. Small company by FMCG standards, and largely one product from where most of the sales come. It's a easy company to follow compared to say a HUL or Reliance, which are far more complicated balance sheets, right? So there can be somebody who is very conservative. I've met people in all categories, very conservative, keeps all money in National Savings Certificate, PPF, bank deposits, does not take any chance. What happens to such a person is they may suddenly find that they do not even have an emergency fund. Everything is locked in somewhere with a long-term thing, but everything in debt. Interest is coming on that, and he or she is paying interest, paying tax on that interest, and they do not need that income, because in your 20s you are anyway earning well. You do not need that income from investment. So you should see what you can do to defer that income. No point in taking the income now and paying tax on it, especially if you're a doctor or anybody. Absolutely no reason to pay tax on interest. So convert that into a growth option in a mutual fund. You are very likely to see a lot of layoffs, and which could become very frequent, and loss of jobs, etc., which we saw during the pandemic. So you please be ready for that. So need to build up a cash balance, unless you think your parents or somebody will rescue you in that situation. You may not have much time to invest as others in your age group. But if you plan on retiring early, you better start learning and finding time to do it yourself, right? There is no point in saying I'll put all my money only in debt instruments and keep my money safe. Then it does not grow. Remember, at this age you're looking more at growth than at income arising out of the investments that you have made, right? You don't need that income. You have a salary, it's going on, you have not yet quit, right? Then there are people who take too much risk by going and doing F&O and things like that. Don't do that also. Start writing down, maintain a diary. Start by writing your philosophy statement. Why am I investing at all? What do I want?